Hi guys, hope you're doing good. In this video, we're going to learn about function in Go programming language. Like any other programming language, Go also have functions. Now what is function? Function is a subprogram which helps you in avoiding redundancy of code and also helps you in reusing the code again and again. And the most important thing is that it helps us in easy debugging. When we have blocks of code and it is easy for us to go and debug where the problem occurs and how to solve that. Let me give some example to make you understand how function work in Go programming language. Let me take the important things that is required for any Go programming language. Let me create some two variables. Let it be val1, val2, both of type integer. Let me get some input using scan. I'll say ampersand val1, ampersand val2. And let me try to add these two values. I'll say val1 plus val2, and then let me print the value. Add. Let me run this code for you. I'll say go run. It's asking for me to input 12, 23. So it added two value and then printed, right? So now this addition is required in my program n number of times, not one time. It is required for me in my program n number of times. For example, as for this program, it is required 3 times or 4 times in my program. Okay. So what I can do is that I can just copy and paste these lines of code 3 times. Now what's happening here is that there is a redundancy of code, right? I'm repeating the same set of lines again and again in my program, which causes a redundancy. Okay, let me save this and run this code for you. I'll just make you understand why I'm doing that, right? Okay, before to that, I'll make small change here. I'll just give 3 different variables or else it'll throw me error. I'll say add 1, add 2, and add 3. Yeah, everything is perfect. Let me save and run this code for you. I'll say go run function example. It's asking for 2 inputs. Let me say 12, 23. It's giving you 35. 1 and 2, it's giving you 3. 60 and 70, it's giving you 130. So I got 3 inputs, right? 3 sets of inputs and 3 sets of added values. But I'm getting the output. But the problem here is that I'm repeating these lines of code again and again. Now what I can do is that instead of repeating these lines of code again and again, I can take this out, right? I can just take these lines of code and put it inside a block and give a name for it. Let the block name be sum of 2 numbers and give these lines of code. Now when I create a block of code and give a name for it, and this becomes function, and this is called as function definition. I'm defining a function, and from here, from anywhere, this function can be called n number of times, right? So this function can be called n number of times in the sense that these number of lines of code can be executed from anywhere n number of times. Okay, so let me call this function. I'll say sum of 2 numbers. This is called as function call. Since I call the function, that's called as function call. Let me just do it again and again for 3 times. Same program, same process, but what I did, the repeated lines of code have been blocked inside a function, and that can be called any number of times from my program. Okay, so let me run this code for you. Let's say go run. It's asking for input, same output, same process, no change in that, right? Everything is same. But one thing what I changed is that I've blocked my number of all these lines of code inside a function. Instead of repeating the lines 4 lines 3 times, what I did, I've just called the function 3 times. I'm saving the space in my program, right? And it also gives a clear picture that I'm doing something here, right? It just gives a clear picture of what's happening where. And also I've avoided the redundancy of code, right? And what I am doing here is I'm reusing this code again and again. I can reuse this code from anywhere in my program. Okay, so let me give few more inputs. Let me 6 and 7, 13, right? Now here what I did is that I'm calling the function and doing the process, getting the input here and then doing the process here. Now let me tell you, how to pass argument to a function. Passing argument is in the sense like calling a function and passing something to it. That is what I'm going to do now, right? So let me take this out and put it inside my main function. Let me take this as well out. Now here what I'm doing is that I'm getting two inputs in my program, and then from here I'm going to pass these two values, right? Val1 comma val2. Now what I'm passing from here, these two val1 and val2 are called as arguments. These are called as arguments. Which are called as arguments? Your val1 and val2 are called as arguments. And this val1 and val2 are passed to the function, and there should be some placeholder. Let me say A and B. Now A and B are the placeholders which is going to hold the value that I am going to pass from here. So when I say val1 comma val2, it is not that val1 and val2 are getting passed, rather the value of val1 and val2 is getting passed. For example, if my value is 12 and 23 for val1 and val2 respectively, right? So let me say my val1 is 12 and my val2 is 23. So when I call the function and say val1 and val2 is passed, what's happening? It is actually passing the value of it. 12 and 23 is getting passed, not the variable is getting passed, the value of the variable is getting passed. So when 12 is getting passed, 12 is getting stored in the variable A, and 23 will be stored in the variable B. You with me? So 12 is getting passed to A and 23 is getting passed to B. So the values are getting stored respectively there. And here I can say A plus B. Let me take this out. I'll just make it as add. Right. So let me save this and run it for you. What I am doing, I'm calling the function and passing argument. This is called as function with argument. Let me run this code for you. I'll say go run func go example. Let me give some input 12, 23. I'm getting 46. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm passing val2 and val2. I'm sorry, that is a problem. Let me run it again for you. I'll say 12, 23 will get 35, right? The error which we got because we are passing 23 and 23. That's why we got 46, right? So instead of passing val1 and val2, I passed val2 and val2. That was the problem. Anyway, that's not an issue. That's not a technical issue. It's just a typo error. Okay, got it? So this is how we pass an argument to a function, right? Now here, instead of giving a int and b int, what I can do is that I can make it much simple. A comma b int. Now it means that a and b both are of type integer, right? If it is of different type, yes, you can go for two different data types. That if a is float, I can give float there. But since a and b are of same data type, I'll just give a comma b int there. And one more thing, what I can do is that I can return a value from this function. Now instead of printing it here, I can return the value. How will I return the value? That is what I'm going to tell. That is function with return type. Let me say I'll use the keyword return and add. Now what happens? The value will get processed here. That is 12 plus 23. That will give you 35. 35 will be stored inside my variable called as add, and from here I'll say return 35. So when I say return 35, the value will be returned back to the function call. It means that the value will come and sit in this place. So when the value is sitting in that place, either I have to store it in a variable or I can just print directly. I'll say fmt.println and call the function. So when I say fmt.println and call the function, the function call will happen, the function will be called, the process will happen here, and then the value will be returned back to this place. In this place, it will be replaced with the value 35, and when I say println 35, the value 35 will be printed. Okay, before do that, I forgot one thing. I have to say what is my return type here. So when I say I'm not returning anything, there is no problem, but if I'm going to return some value, I need to give the data type of the value which I'm going to return. Like what is the value that I'm going to return? I'm going to return add. So what is the data type here? The add data type is integer, because I'm adding two integer value. I'll be returning back only integer. Okay, so when I say int, it means that I'm going to return the value. This is your return type, right? So next to the function, I'll be giving the type of what value that I'm going to return. If I'm going to return integer, I'll be giving int. If I'm going to return a float, I'll be giving float. Okay, so let me save and run this again for you. Say go run Let me say 12, 23, I'm getting 35, right? So we have seen three types: one, function without any argument or without any return type, and then we have seen function with return type, with argument and without return type, and then we have seen function with argument and with return type, right? Now, if at all I want to return more than one value, yes, that is also possible. That is what I'm going to tell you, right? I'm going to tell you how to return more than one value from a function. Okay, let me take this function name as arithmetic, and let me take two values, and from here I'm going to return the values. Okay, so let me call the function arithmetic. When I call the function here, let me do some process, right? I'll be doing addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, right? So what I have done here is that I've done the process, store it in a variable and return the variable. Now what I can do is that I can also return the value directly, right? I can just say a plus b. Now here what I'm doing, I'm saving some memory space there, right? What I can do is that I can just directly say return a plus b, and I can also say return a minus b, and finally I'll say return a into b. Now what I'm doing three process: addition, subtraction, multiplication. Now how many values I'm returning from here? I'm returning three values, so I should have three return types: int, comma, int. Since it is more than one, I have to group it inside a parenthesis, right? So if I am going to return more than one value, I need to return mention the types, all the types. What is the return type of the first value? Integer. Return type of the second one? Integer. Return type of the third one? That is also integer. Let me say return type, let me do one more process. I'll say a by b, and this is also going to return integer. Let me save this. So I'm doing addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, doing all the process. Let me save this and run it for you. Let's say go run function. Let me say 12 and 6. So 12 plus 6 is 18, 12 minus 6 is 6, 12 into 6 is 72, 12 divided by 6 is 2. Now if at all I want to return some float value, what should I do, right? If I want to return some float value, I should mention float, but I don't have any float values here. But I want to get some float value when I divide these two variables, but these two variables are of type integer. So if I want to divide these two variables and put it as a float, what I need to do is I need to typecast it. I'll say float 32 of A, and I'll say float 32 of B, and then my return type should be float. If I give integer there, it will throw me error because I'm converting the variable A to type float 32 and variable B to of type float 32, dividing it and returning it back. Okay, so let me save it and run it for you again. I'll say go run. It's asking for my input 12 and let me give 5. So when I do this, you're getting 12 plus 5 17, 12 minus 5 7, 12 into 6 12 into 5 is 60, and division gives you 2.4, right? So what we have seen is that we have seen returning more than one value from a function. When people from C or C++ background, you can return only one value from a function, but people from Python, you should be knowing already, you can return more than one value from a function. The same way we can also return more than one value from a function in Go programming language as well. Fine guys, I'm done with this video. If you have any doubts or queries, please comment in the comment section. I'll definitely get back to you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.